Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to For StarCraft 2 Strategy, your number one location for step-by-step strategy and tutorial videos. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Zerg strategy. Basically what we're going to be looking at, the basic strategy is speedling, baneling into Muta, but specifically what we're going to be paying attention to in this video is the response when your Terran opponent decides to play super aggressively and kind of boxes you into your base. What we're going to see here by our Terran opponent is he's going to be going for that very popular and very effective Marine Siege Tank build versus Zerg. He's going to be pushing out to the front of our base and kind of creating a nice little fortification, basically walling us in and forcing us to stay inside of our base and play with a one base Zerg play. And we're going to respond to that by actually using our Mutalisk coupled with a Nydus worm, getting our units inside of his base and basically countering the fact that he's forcing us to stay inside of our base by hitting him at his own. So trying to make effective use of that Nydus worm and more importantly, just trying to keep your cool in a situation like that can be very nerve-wracking for people, having a bunch of siege tanks and marines sitting outside the front of the base, and trying to keep your cool and just know what to do, know proper responses, and how to react without just suiciding your unit straight into that frontal wall, because he ends up building a couple bunkers, massing up some siege tanks and marines, and running units down to that is not a good idea. So very good response by going for that Nydus worm to counteract that again. So anyways, yeah, we're going to be taking a look at the basic build order here, going with that basic starting with that 14 pool, followed by the Extractor. Extractor comes up, we're going to saturate that. Once the spawning pool's in the building, we're going to go ahead and go for those speedlings. Getting scouted here by the Terran player. He does know our position simply because our Overlord wandered directly into his base, and when he saw the Overlord coming in from this direction, he realized that this is where we were at that point. So yeah, our Terran opponent here going to be going again for that very popular Marine Siege Tank build. It's been very effective for myself even. I've been using it a lot for Zerg players with great success, so don't blame him for going for it. It's definitely a pretty strong build here. And again, I'm sorry, I forgot to make note of the players here. We're taking a look at a game in the Diamond League between the Zerg player here is Arum, and the Terran player is Raffle Chicken, which, by the way, fantastic name. I'm thoroughly impressed with that, Raffle Chicken. Not sure if it has any meaning, but it's pretty funny. I'm going to be getting our second Extractor here at 19 as well. I'm going to need a lot of SPN going up for those Mutalisks as quickly as possible. But we're going to be starting off again using our Vespian for those speedlings. We're also going to be getting a Baneling's Nest because we're kind of considering a Baneling bust. We end up seeing that our Terran player has a pretty good defense for the Baneling bust, putting a majority of the production buildings up here and then having the option to, if the Baneling bust comes, put another barracks down right here. I want to make a quick little note here before I go too far into this. I'm going to, from this point forward, I don't know if I'm going to go back to all my older videos, but from this point forward I'm going to really try to go ahead and put down the build orders, the supply time for our build orders for the specific strategies that we go over here in our videos. I do it a little bit reluctantly though, and I do just want to make a note of that, and the reason I'm saying that is because getting those basic build orders, getting that supply down, for example the 14 pool and 13 Extractor or whatever, just as an example, it is great for like the early game and for basically having a general idea of how you should be setting up your strategies, but such a vital part, I've said this before, such a vital part of StarCraft is responding to what your opponent's doing, and in going for responses, there isn't going to be a set number that you do something at. It's going to be when you're in a certain situation, that's when you're going to build a unit. So I'm a little reluctant for certain strategies that have to do with responding to what your opponent's doing. I'm a little reluctant in those strategies to be posting specific build orders, because again, they don't really apply as much as going straight for like a 6-pool rush. Obviously that exact build order is going to stay the same. But anyways, the point of me saying all that is that I know you guys are really looking to have that done. I know you guys, especially the newer players, really want to see specific build orders just to get a basis. And I understand the reasoning behind that, and I understand that starting out, that's something that it's a very attractive thought, getting specific build orders, exactly what to do. Makes it a little bit easier when you're first learning. So yeah, point of all that being that from this point forward, I'm going to really start trying to put those build orders up there. But again, just try to keep in mind, in the back of your mind, that those build orders should not stay static forever. and you have to be willing to divert from them based on your situation, based on what's going on in the game. You have to be able to be adaptive and respond, basically. So going back into things here, seeing that we do have that Spire coming up right now. It's just about finished, and this is right about when the Terran player does this push. In fact, this is pretty much how the timing works out when I go for this build, that Marine Siege Tank build. Usually right about when I push is when their Spire is coming up, and then I have to deal with the Mutalisks. That, of course, is what the Marines are for. And looking at the Terran player's base, he has a very effective turret placement to ward off any Mutalisks that come in, basically covering turrets with turrets, so that the Mutalisks don't have free reign to just attack one of these turrets from the outskirts, that they're going to be getting hit by another set of turrets. We're going to see another one right here, and I do believe another one gets popped in this direction. So very great turret placement here by the Terran player, making it kind of difficult for Mutalisks to run in and do anything to the mineral line. So what we're going to see here is, we built our first Mutalisks. We had them up. We've got a couple of speedlings here. And we did see that this was coming, so we went ahead and built some spine crawlers to try to help defend against it. But this is where he sets up right outside our base in a very offensively defensive position. Basically what he's doing here is he's setting up camp and kind of forcing us to stay inside of our base. Also, of course, the problem is that he's stopping us from expanding as well. So it kind of puts us in a tough spot. We have our Mutalisks again. We tried moving down into his base, but we did see that these siege tanks, these turrets are set up, as well as these Marines that are going to be a little mobile defense force against any Mutalisks that we may send at him. So this is kind of where we're put in a position where we're boxed into our base. We've got these Mutalisks, but we can't do too much with them because we can't really move into his base. Maybe eventually when we amass up a huge Mutalisk force, but by that time we could be in the unfortunate position of him pushing forward with this, and obviously that would be a little devastating. So we don't really have time to sit around and wait. So what we're going to do is we're putting these spine crawlers to the front of our base, trying to stop any sort of a push from coming in. And this is a good move, but it's also going to be a hindrance once he's going to be building a barracks here and lifting it off and giving his tanks vision. Once that happens, then that's going to cause us to lose these unless we pull them back. So this is the point where we're going to be dropping that Nydus worm now. We do get a scan from the Terran player. I'm not sure if he sees it or not. He does see it. He has to have clicked on that though to actually see what it was. So I'm not sure if he fully took advantage of that comp stat. I'm sorry, that scan. I'm not sure if he actually saw what that was. And you do want to try to hide this to the best of your ability. I would have even thought about putting it over here next to the Spire, because he is very unlikely to scan this corner of the base. So here we are. We're in this position. We're kind of forced to stay inside of our base, and that's when we decide we're going to go with the Nydus network. That's going to be the best response. So taking our Overlord here, getting vision of the corner of his base, we're going to be dropping down this Nydus worm, getting those speedlings into his base, and then once the speedlings move in and take out these turrets, that's when we can go ahead and move in with our Mutalisks. So using the speedlings to take out his anti-air defenses, and then moving in with the Mutalisks to take out all of his workers, basically, is the idea here. So as you can see, the speedlings are moving up. They're going to be moving in the mineral line, taking down these turrets, and then we're going to be free to move in our Mutalisks. So at this point, Terran player realizes, well, my base is under attack. I've got to push now or that's it. Unfortunately, with siege tanks being so slow and you having the advantage of these Mutalisks, as long as you don't get within range of these Marines, because Marines do very well against Mutalisks, you should be able to do a pretty good job. I'm going to try to move forward and pick off the siege tanks the best we can. But again, it's going to be hard with those Marines. We kind of got to be careful to stay away from them. And this is kind of the real danger, honestly. The barracks giving the tanks vision is what makes this tough. But as you can see, due to our Nydus worm pushing inside of his base, we were able to take out pretty much everything. He's forced to lift off his command center here, and we're going to be taking care of that with our Mutalisks, of course. Speedlings, again, we pretty much have done so much damage to his base. He doesn't have another base up right now. He's very low on workers. I'm not sure if he has more than that one. We're actually going to take a look here. He's got 4 SCVs, so he does have a few, but not much, and I mean, we've done so much damage to his base that even though he's pushing in, I think it's going to be, well, I know it's going to be a win, but it's kind of obvious at this point that we're in a really good spot. Now it's still a little bit dangerous here. Where this still could be a loss. if he managed to push forward hard enough, we still could lose the game. And what I would suggest doing in this situation, just to guarantee, you're obviously not going to be able to move through this front door quite yet because he's got this force here. I would suggest bringing a couple of drones into that Nydus network, moving into his base, and then rebuilding up here, or even using using that nice network simply to get your drones out of your base to rebuild bases in other locations, because that's the only way you're going to be 100% positive. Now, as you can see, though, we are moving in here with these meterless, and it is of sufficient force to take out those Marines. Finally, we got to that point, and that's the point that he goes ahead and calls good game. So yeah, again, guys, it's pretty good strategy, pretty good response to a offensive push from a Terran player going for that Marine siege tank build. Very strong build. This is kind of going to be a good way for you to deal with it if you're boxed into your base, is by using the Nydus network to get into your opponent's base, using those Marines to take out any static turrets that he may have, those static anti-air defenses, and then moving in with your meterless after those are done. And you should do a pretty good job of mopping up his base while he's in that offensive position. So again, guys, this has been for StarCraft 2 Strategy, your #1 location for step-by-step strategy and tutorial videos. If you guys like what we're doing here and you like what you see, please do go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Keep watching and keep owning, guys.